In this video session, I want to walk you through how to properly code and path relative links. Relative links are paths to other pages and files on your website. My website, for example, has relative links to things like the CSS controlling the styles, the images that you see displayed here, and other pages on my website, for example, the portfolio page. On this particular page, I also have images that are relatively linked to other images to be displayed inside of a lightbox, for example. Knowing how to code these relative links may seem easy enough, but it's actually one of the most challenging concepts for students, especially when folders are involved. For example, when we talk about websites, websites are nothing more than folders and files. For example, this is my website located on the web server, and whenever someone types in my web address, it brings them to this folder. Every file on this site basically has what's called a home address and a specific path to it. My HTML pages, as well as my images. For example, if we take a look at the image we looked at just a minute ago, it is actually located inside here. The images folder, portfolio, graphic design, and then rock favor 1 JPEG. And whenever we look up here at the top, this is the path one needs to take to find this specific file. The name by itself is not enough to code in your web page. You have to code the path to that file. That would be like me giving you the number to my house without giving you any directions to it. You would get lost or not be able to find it. And that's what happens with a lot of web pages. And that's why understanding the pathing process is so important when web designing. So let's go ahead and take a look inside of a sample page. Now on this page, what we need to do is we need to create relative links to things like a style sheet, to an image, and to another page, again, on our website. Before we show you how to do that, let's go ahead and take a look and see how this site structure is set up. Here we can see the overall folder containing our files is for principles-pathing. Now, inside of this folder, again, much like a website or web server, are the files that we need access to. This is the file that we currently have open, the index.html. And what we're going to do is we're going to create relative links to the different files that we need located within inside this website. So the first one that we're going to code is a relative link from the index.html to the forprinciples.css. Now, two things to keep in mind whenever you are coding a relative link. Number one, where are you starting from? And number two, where are you going? Now, whenever we take a look at this file structure, the forprinciples CSS and the index file are located within inside the exact same folder, the forprinciples pathing. They're just sort of hanging loose in there. This is the equivalent of two houses being on the exact same street. So here's how we would put that inside of a code. So since we're linking out to the CSS, what we would do is we would simply type in the name of the file, forprinciples.css. There we go, and we're just verifying that it went ahead and applied it. So how come all we had to type in was the name? Because again, whenever you look at that folder structure of your site, the style sheet is located within inside the same folder as our starting point, as our index.html. Again, starting point, destination. The CSS is just down the street from the index.html, so we don't have to code in anything different. And that's how it is whenever all your files are located within inside the same folder. But where things get complicated is whenever you have to locate a file or code a path to a file that exists within inside of a folder. For example, the HTML folder has a file named contrast.html. And what we want to do is, with our index page, the one that we're currently on, this is our starting point. If you were inside MapQuest, this is the address that you would put in as your starting point. And our destination is here. So how do we code for this? Well, again, look at the path we have to take to get to this file. We've got to go through the HTML folder in order to locate the file we want. And here's how we would code that. Go to the area that you need to code that relative link. In this case, it's right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in the name of the folder, / and then the name of the file. Now remember, our starting point is the file that we're on. Whatever page you are coding, that is the starting point. and you simply have to start from there to locate the file that you need to get to. So according to what we've coded, whenever the web browser pulls up this page, this index.html page, and the person clicks on that link, this is the path we are telling the browser to take to locate the file. Locate the HTML folder, and then locate the file name. And that's the exact path the browser is going to take. It's not going to take any other path. And so again, you code the path to the file that you want. Now, what happens if we have to go a little bit deeper to find something? For example, when we take a look at this time we need to add an image. And that image is located within inside of a folder called Images, and then located within inside of another folder called Main. So, according to this, if we're on the index page, we have to create a relative link that tells the browser to find the Images folder, find the Main folder, and then find the file. And here's how we would code that. So let's find the area where we would need to type in that code. So starting right here, here's what I would do. Again, the index page is the starting point. So we have to locate the folder called Images, and there's a / mark. We then need to locate the folder called Main. There's a / mark. We then can find our file, which is named for-principals-lg for large, and then .jpg. And if we click over here, we know the pathing is correct because the image showed up. That's always a good sign. So again, one more time. This is the proper path to that file. We need to locate the Images folder. Within inside that folder, we locate the Main folder. Then within inside that folder, we locate the file. Now, what happens though when you're on a different page and you have to link backwards? For example, if we go back to our file structure, what happens if we're actually on a page like Contrast and we need to link back to the index.html? How do we do that? Is it the same process? Almost. Let's show you. Let's go to our Contrast page. So on this particular page, first off, let's see what it's doing. We've already got a few hyperlinks in here. For example, up here at the very top, contrast, repetition, alignment, proximity, and conclusion, these are all linked to other files. You'll notice right here. Now notice that there's nothing in front of these files. Why is that? Because again, whenever we look at our folder structure, they're all on the same street. We don't need to do anything else. But the one that's not on the same street is the index.html. And in order for us to get to that file, look at what we have to do. We actually have to go backwards out of the HTML folder in order to locate the index file. And here's how you code how to back up a level. Right here, I'm going to do the following. // index.html. And what this is saying that starting from this page, because again, it's always the page that we're on, we need to back up out of this folder in order to find this file. Now, what if you were 2 folders deep? Then you would simply do the following. // followed by another set of // and then the file. So again, what you're telling the browser is back up out of this folder, back up out of that folder in order to find that. So anytime that we need to back up out of a folder, we use that // mark. And although there exist multiple combinations of different what ifs out there, what if this is 2 pages deep, or what if I have to go back 1 folder then into a different folder, blah 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 blah. It doesn't really matter. If you understand how to create this basic pathing method, you can link to whatever file that you need on your website. It's actually that easy. And one of the things that you can always verify to make sure you've done it correctly is preview it inside of a browser. If it doesn't work, more than likely the pathing is wrong. Go back and try to find the proper pathing to the file. And just remember though, what page are you starting on and where do you need to go? Because where your starting point is, that determines the set of directions you need to code in. Each one of you lives at a different address. If I were to give you my address, all of you would have different directions to get to my house depending upon where you are starting from. And it's the exact same thing whenever you code. So remember, what page am I starting on and where do I need to go to? Then take a look at your file structure within inside of your folders and then plan from there.